I've never been to an English-speaking country.
Because you were able to listen a lot, but where did you have opportunities to actually speak?
Because when you put yourself out there, you will notice most of it is in your head.
Paternal uncle would be, maternal means on your mom's side. Paternal.
I got into public speaking. I got into coaching, actually.
Say it again and again and again.
Exactly. So it's actually a plus. It shows interest in the other person.
How long did it take you to learn English?
We make mistakes in our first language.
Your brain will learn without you even realizing.
Yes, it will take maybe a few months, few years, depending on where you are.
Just living in the US doesn't make you learn English. Unconventional way is like the opposite, a way that's not the normal way.
I would say, and this is something that is not very common, that people don't realize.
Welcome to the You Can Too English podcast, where I interview people about how they went from zero English to doing amazing things in English. And we talk about how you can do the same, how you can truly learn English. We'll talk about tips, strategies, and I'll explain difficult words that we use in this conversation. This real English conversation will be great listening practice for you too. So let's improve your future by improving your English.
Hear from you, just if you could introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are. Who is the amazing Mr. Ali?
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Well, who is Ali? My name's Ali. I'm from Iraq. I spent most of my life in Iraq. I've never been to an English-speaking country until now. I'm passionate about many things, but my main passion is education. Ever since I was young, I loved whenever I heard something, a piece of information or see something that is interesting, I just love to go and share with other people in an interesting way, in a fun way. And throughout this journey, I was able to learn English. I don't know, should we speak about the English part of
We'll jump into that in a second. But first just the background. But we'll totally get into that.
Yes. So I loved learning. I loved learning from unconventional ways. I didn't enjoy school as much. But I did my best to try and be a very good student. But I loved learning from other sources, like going out, talking to people, watching. I'm from Iraq, so the option of traveling around and exploring the world wasn't really available. So I was traveling through the screen of TV back then, and then computer, and then phones and these things. So I would watch a lot of TV, animation movies, normal movies, TV shows in my teenage years. So I learned about I was introduced to the world through the internet, of course, through chat rooms and these things, and it's been great.
Okay, cool. Yeah, praise God. That's awesome. That is really cool. Yeah, it's amazing that now with modern technology, you can never leave your country and you can be in all these other countries. Like you can travel to these places from your home, which is really awesome. Yeah. And I wanted to just encourage everybody with that, everybody watching, that Ali just said he's never been to an English speaking country, and he has an amazing level of English. So even if you guys can't travel, you guys can learn English, right? With the technology that we have now, it's not like the past where you had to travel to those places. It can help, but you don't need to, right? And so be encouraged that you guys can do the same. So cool. Well, with that, we want to learn from your experience of how you've gotten to this super good level of English. I'd love to hear just about kind of going back to the beginning, starting. Tell us a little bit about how you first started with your English learning journey.
Okay, so the thing is, I always wanted to learn English because I told you I really liked learning things, and it was a goal since I was young, but I didn't know how to do it. And I as I told you, I don't like the conventional method of teaching where you sit in a class and you do these things. And of course, in class, we weren't really learning English. We were just learning grammar. So it was just a goal in my head. A lot of my family live abroad, like UK, US, Europe. Iraqis. We have a lot of people all around,
all over.
And then during summer, they used to come. I had my cousins who used to visit us and spend time with us in Iraq. And then sometimes they would speak among themselves in English, and this would make me feel angry and jealous because I want to understand what they're talking about, but I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to learn. So there was like this let's say ambition. I wanted to learn the language. I
Yeah.
didn't put any effort towards it. At the same time, I told you I was really interested in watching movies, TV shows, listening to music. So I used to go out and buy CDs for movies and just put them in my big computer, like the
Yeah.
family's computer, and then I would spend hours on it.
Hmm.
I wasn't the kind of guy that would go out and play in the street because it was a bit messy.
Yeah.
So I would just spend most of my time in front of the computer watching movies.
Hmm.
And I started off with I'm pretty sure you know Harry
Yep.
Potter.
Of course.
It was a movie that I really liked. I used to
Yeah.
watch parts of it on
Hmm.
TV, and then once I was out, I saw a movie store that had the CD of the
Okay.
movie, and I got it. Went back home. I binged the whole thing,
Yeah.
and I kept watching it over and over and over again. I repeated it more than I would say 7, 8
Wow.
times. The whole
Yeah.
series. So it
Wow.
was back then it was 4
Okay.
parts,
Yeah.
not the whole
Uh-huh.
thing. Yeah, and I watched I repeated the whole series at least 7 or 8 times
Wow.
at that time. Now I'm up to maybe like 15, 16. I can't
Okay, so
even
you have it
count.
memorized. So what's the 15th word they say in the second movie?
Oh,
You got it
oh
all.
no.
Just kidding. It's funny, some movies when you
That's a
see them
different
enough.
level. I
Yeah.
understand. Oh yeah, no, right now, if you tell me a sentence, I
You
could
could
generally
complete
tell
it.
you which part, who said it, why
Yeah.
did they say it, when they say it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So that gave me foundation for
Yeah.
language without me even noticing. Because
Hmm.
when I was watching it, of course,
Yeah.
the audio is in English, subtitled in Arabic,
Hmm.
and I wasn't watching it to learn English. I was watching it because I loved
You
it so
enjoyed it.
much.
Yeah.
I loved the
Hmm.
story. I connected
Yep.
with the characters.
Yeah.
And after some time, I was out in the street, and then I went to a library, and the librarian, he was reading a book in English, which was interesting for me
Hmm.
to see something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm from Baghdad, but I grew up in a city called Karbala, south of
Okay.
Baghdad, and it's not really common to see anyone
Hmm.
reading a book in English there. So I was like, "Oh wow, you're reading a book in English. Do you speak English?" Of course, in Arabic. He
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, a little bit. I try." He told me, "Do you?" I said, "No, of course not. But I maybe I can try and read." He gave me the book, and I held the book. And now I didn't read English books apart
Hmm.
from the school book,
Yeah.
and I was surprised when I was looking at the words. Uh, they were new to me. I didn't understand any of them,
Huh.
but as I was reading it and I was hearing it, I was able to, oh, I feel like I've heard this word somewhere. I've heard this word
Yeah.
somewhere, you
Uh-huh.
know?
Yep.
So when I was pronouncing the words, my brain was clicking, connecting to
Yeah.
something that I had here
Uh-huh.
stored. And I later knew that I had, because of watching the movie, because of the amount of times I repeated the movies,
Yeah.
I acquired a big, let's say, store of vocabulary
Yeah.
in my
Uh-huh.
brain, and then it was just there waiting for me to use them and
Hmm.
practice them. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was a big part of the how I yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those some lot of really good ideas. You had a good brain with how to learn even at that young age, which is really cool. Awesome the ideas you had. And I just wanted
Yes, yes.
to point out a few really good words that you guys or that you used to help everybody listening.
Mhm.
One, Ali said he didn't like the conventional method of teaching. So
Oh yes.
conventional is like the typical normal way of doing it, the way that most people do it. So he didn't like the conventional way. Instead, he wanted an unconventional. Unconventional way is like the opposite, a way that's not the normal way. Okay, so conventional way, teacher in front of a classroom. Unconventional could be some of the things that he talked about. And then as well, he said that he lived abroad. To live abroad means to live in another country. Or sorry, he said his family lived abroad. So his family lived
Yes.
abroad. They lived in other countries. And then one other really good one, he said, I love this word, he binged the same thing many times. Ali, do you want to tell us what it means to binge something?
Okay. Oh, well, yeah, right. Of course. So to binge, usually we use it with watching.
Yeah.
To binge watch something or to binge something basically means to spend a lot of time doing nothing but that thing. For
Hmm.
example, when I say I binged Harry Potter, it means I sat in front of Harry Potter and I did nothing except watching it for maybe 5, 6, 7 hours, whatever. So you binge watch, you binge eat when you eat for long hours, and
exactly. Yep. So when you just keep going and going and going, you watch one episode, then the next episode, or the next movie, the next movie. You just don't stop. So a lot of people do that on Netflix, where they just binge watch entire series, where they'll say, I binge watched Breaking Bad, for example, right? They just watched one, then the next, because it leaves you with a cliffhanger. A cliffhanger is like the end where it makes you want to know what happens next. You're like, I can't end here. I need to see what happens next. So so some great words there.
I think I learned that word from because of the quarantine, because of COVID. It was really common to binge stuff in general, and that's where I picked up the word.
There you go. That's
it's a lovely word.
It is. Yeah, it's become a very, very popular word. Again, like 20 years ago, we didn't have that word used in that way. It meant something different then. So we were constantly learning or creating new words in English.
Oh yeah.
So but I really liked what you said as well with how you watched Harry Potter multiple times. And that's something that for everyone listening is a really, really good strategy. If you just watch a movie one time or you just watch a video one time, your brain does learn some, but when you watch it multiple times, it helps your brain a lot more, because the first time you're trying to get the main ideas, what's happening. When you watch it again, you can focus more on just absorbing, like receiving and understanding the different words that they're saying. And so maybe the first time you missed a few words, the second time you get a few more, and then a few more. And every time you listen to it, you're going to grow with your understanding and knowledge. So if you get bored with a movie, stop and move to another movie.
Oh, definitely.
But if you're able to watch it more than one time, it's going to help you out a lot more. So,
yes, definitely.
Yeah. So you said Harry Potter was one of the big movies that you binged a lot, and that helped you out a lot. What are some other movies or TV shows that really helped you, that you watched a lot, that helped you to improve your English?
Take a guess.
Friends.
Yes.
There we go. The go-to for everyone.
There you go.
Everybody loves Friends. Yep.
Yes. So Friends was actually the second thing that I watched the most. I mean, generally, I watch a lot. I still do until now. And I always tell my students this as well, because for us, people who wanted to learn the language or have the language, but don't have a way of receiving input, using TV shows or movies is basically like you traveling to that place for the period of time you watch. So for example, when you watch Harry Potter, or when you watch Friends, and if you actually sit down and watch it, you will spend this 20 minutes with the characters in the background, just watching, especially if you live with the characters, like you take in the feelings, the action, what happened and everything. So it's an amazing practice. It's the second best thing to traveling. The best thing is to travel to the country and actually immerse yourself in the society, if you can. And now this option is not very accessible to many people. So the second best thing is to just open your screen. We're spending a lot of time on it anyway. Might as well invest this time in learning a language by focusing on what's happening in the story. So Friends, I saw that also a lot, more than 10 times. The whole series. So it's like 10 seasons. Each season is like 23 episodes or something. And of course, in addition to many things, I still watch at least 1 to 2 hours of English content every day. I've been doing that for the past 15 years. Every day. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to keep my level of English. Because I don't interact with people in English outside of my phone or iPad or laptop or work. Yes.
No, that's a really good point. We say in English, use it or lose it. If you don't use the language, you lose it.
Yes.
I've met people who studied, went to university in the US, and then they graduated. They had a great level of English. They came back to, when I was living in Saudi, they were back in Saudi. They had been back for like 5 or 6 years, and their English was really bad. It had gone down a lot because they hadn't used it. And so for everyone listening, whatever your level is, whether it's advanced, intermediate, beginner, keep using it, right? If you don't keep using it, you will start to lose some bit. And you can relearn it faster the second time.
Definitely.
But we definitely want to keep it up. And yeah, I really like what you said about how you're able to immerse yourself through the internet, right? Through social media. Instead of following a bunch of Arabic pages, those can be great too. But also you could even have like a second account that's just for English pages. So you're like, okay, I'm going into English mode. Let me just listen to all these English things here. And just on that note as well, I've actually, for everyone listening, I've met a lot of people here in the US who have lived here for 15 or 20 years, and they still can't really speak much English. Just living in the US doesn't make you learn English. Just living in Britain doesn't make you learn English because it's really easy to just stay with your community, right? There's a lot of people from Mexico, for example, who are just with other Mexicans, or Arabs who are just with other Arabs. And so they do that all the time.
Even if they go out, they rely on their children, their husbands. Or I've had so many students from who live in the US, UK, and Canada.
Yeah.
And they wanted to learn English with me. They took courses with me because they've spent like maybe 5, 6, 7 years in the country.
Yeah.
But unless you immerse yourself, you won't.
Exactly. Yeah, because the big thing is, what are you doing when you're at home? Right? When you're outside, you can try to talk with people, but again, some people don't do it too much. But when you're at home, what are you doing? Are you listening to things in English, or are you speaking in Arabic? And so it can be the same thing for all of you. If you guys don't have any way you can travel to the US or the UK or anywhere like that, what are you doing at home? If somebody is living in the US, an Arab is living in the US, but at home they're just talking with people in Arabic, versus you are living in your country, in Iraq, in Saudi, Morocco, wherever you are, but you're constantly listening to things in English, then you're going to improve a whole lot more than they will. So that's just an encouragement that you guys can do it anywhere.
And you have a living example in front of you. Never taken any traditional course. I've never actually taken any course. Matter of fact. And I've never been to an English-speaking country, and here I am. I'm an English. I was an English teacher. I've been doing my own thing for the past few years, but I was an English. I taught native speakers English in international schools, so I got to that level. And I've never been to these countries, so it's possible, and it's possible to be done in a fun way. That's the thing I want people to understand the most. You can do it in a fun way. You don't have to be stressed out or angry, or you don't even have to memorize the traditional way. You can just do it, and there's so many applications, so many great educators and coaches who will help you learn the best way, the most interesting way, especially if you know what you want, you know what are the things you're interested about. You can connect whatever it is you're interested about with learning. So for example, if you're interested about cars, you can start watching videos about cars in English, like a guy who vlogs about cars in English. You're interested about football? Great, watch football in English. Just it will be interesting and fun. You're not taking a course, so you will not feel like, oh my God, I have to do it. No, it's just you're watching football just with English commentary in the background, and it will do its magic. So
no, that's very true. Yeah, if you can choose videos or movies or things like that that you're actually interested in, your brain will learn without you even realizing. Because our brains are created by God to just absorb languages, right? And so that's a huge thing there. I think a lot of people we think like only when you're a kid you can learn well. But as adults, our brains are still sponges where they can still absorb languages, and it may take effort sometimes, right? But we can have fun while putting in that effort. And so that is I think a really good point, that if you want to watch the news, okay, great. Just watch it in English. And then you can check it in Arabic afterwards to make sure you understood it correctly, but try to just switch those things over to English, and that's going to help you guys out a lot. So yeah, I like that.
Definitely.
I saw one person in the comments, Amira, she said that listening is giving you the listening practice, but what about actually using it? What helped you with that? Because you were able to listen a lot, but where did you have opportunities to actually speak? Because if you never speak, you're not going to get better at speaking. So what helped you on your journey?
Yes. That's very, very important. The thing is, I'm going to tell you my story really quickly. But it might not be relevant to many people right now. Back then, I told you I was spending a lot of time on my computer, on my iPod, and when I noticed, okay, I have this level of English, but I have many words, but I can't speak with anyone because I didn't practice this. Whenever I try to say something, I just lose everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the thing. So I was really interested in getting to know people, meeting new people. Back then, I was a teenager. I wanted to meet girls and from
Yeah.
different countries and talk to them.
Okay.
So I would go on chat rooms.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the chat
Yep.
rooms on Yahoo Messenger, on
Okay.
MSN, all these different chat rooms. Yeah. So I would just go on chat rooms and just start chatting with
Just talk with
people.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, and I found this really interesting application back then. It was like you create your own avatar, and then you walk
Huh.
into chat rooms, 3D chat rooms,
Okay.
and then you have like some furniture, and you just hang
Yeah.
out with people and speak with them. And I would spend hours at
Yeah.
that on there. I get back home. I went to an all boys school,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
so,
So you took advantage of every opportunity.
yeah. So I just whenever I went back home, okay, I feel like I need to balance, so I
Yeah.
need to speak to girls
Okay, to have it
to
50-50.
understand. Yes. So I would spend hours on those applications, and then the beginning was really difficult because I could only do like, "Hey, how are you? My name's Ali. I'm from Iraq." And then they would say like, "What? Iran? Who? Where?
Yeah.
Where?" It's not a very common country. And then afterwards, after the greetings level, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to say. So
Yeah.
I would just get my translator out. There was an app called Al-Wafi Dhahabi. It was like
Okay.
an old translator. I think it was an offline or like downloaded version
Yeah.
of Google. And then I would just translate and then write it
Yeah.
down. And then they send me a message and they'll just translate back again.
Yeah.
After a few months, I I picked up the conversation. I had the vocabs and I could just practice. And that's something. Now I realize for the people listening right now, maybe they're older than this age level where because I was
Yeah.
a teenager, I had a lot of time and I had a lot of energy invested in wanting to meet people. Now I've met I could say thousands, at least over 2,000 people
Yeah.
because of my journey on social media who are interested in learning English. And I've asked many of them, how did you do it? How did you practice? And many of them told me I was speaking to myself. Many people
Yeah.
don't realize this. When you speak to yourself, you're actually speaking.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you don't have the other person to correct your mistakes, even in an indirect way, because you
Yeah.
don't need to be corrected directly whenever you make a mistake. But like
Yeah.
when you practice with other people, you start to subliminally understand your mistakes and then correct them. But when
Yeah.
you speak with yourself, it's much easier. You can do it anywhere, anytime. And we spend a lot of time speaking to ourselves when we think.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
slowly you will notice when the more you consume content in English, slowly your brain will start to think in English. And
Yeah.
it happened to me. It happened to many people whose English was amazing.
Yeah.
And when I asked them, how did you practice with anyone? How did you get to this level of English in Iraq and in Turkey as well and different nationalities? They would say, I just spoke to myself. I was speaking to myself all the time.
Yeah.
So it helps. It helps.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's a really good point. Yeah, that even if you don't have anybody else, like again, if you can't go to another country, you have yourself all the time, right? You can 100% of your time talk to yourself whenever you want to. And that's something that's going to be really, really helpful. And like you said, that can be even in your head. If you're at work and you can't speak, people, as somebody Noor said, you'll look like you're a crazy person if you're talking to yourself.
Oh my God, of course.
But
and it's
you
fun.
can do it. Yeah,
It's
it's
fun.
great to make people think
Make
that you're
people
crazy.
think you're crazy.
Then they won't mess with you. So if you see
Also,
somebody on
you
the street
can
who looks
do
dangerous,
AI.
yeah,
Also, you
exactly.
can do AI.
Yeah.
We didn't have those tools back then, but
Yeah.
now you can just open up your phone and there's like hundreds of applications where you can speak with robots.
Yeah.
And all of that, I'm not mentioning coaches, language coaches who will actually
Yeah.
help you of course, in a faster way. They will help, they have their experience, so it will be faster for you. But if you don't have the budget to pay anyone to help you, you can just find friends,
Yeah.
find people who have something in common with you, back to my example with the cars, when you're watching something about cars and you see someone, hop on their DM,
Yeah.
try to connect with them on the thing you're interested about. Like, hey, I saw
Yeah.
your comment about this car,
Hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I mean,
Yeah.
you can make friends that way. Or if you don't want to do any of those things, speaking to yourself will definitely help you
Yeah.
practice your English.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, those are really good points there. Yeah, with AI, amazing opportunities. We have in our Fluency Master program, we have a program called Speak Smart that is an
Yes.
AI speaking partner that talks back and forth with you. You can speak as much as you
Oh.
want, and it corrects your mistakes. And so stuff like that, right? We have those resources now that we didn't have before
Oh,
to
wow.
just be able to get
That's
words out of our mouths. Yeah, so it's really, really helpful.
that's
Um,
amazing. Yeah, is that a tool on your website for the
yeah.
courses
Mm-hmm.
with?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. Part
wow.
of Fluency Master. Yeah. So we just developed it recently. We're excited about it because, like you said, we just need to speak, 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 speak. And if we can get correction as well, that also helps. Because normally, even if we're speaking with a native English speaker, they're not going to correct us,
Yes.
right? Because they don't want to be rude.
Correct.
And that's
Right.
most of the time in those situations. Don't worry about making mistakes, right? Like Ali, I'm
Yes.
sure when you were talking with people, talking with the ladies on those chat rooms, right? You probably made lots of mistakes, but
Oh
that's
my
okay.
God, of
That's how you learn,
course.
right? If you
Oh,
hadn't done that, you never would have gotten
yeah.
any better.
But Josh, there's something interesting. We're really self-conscious about the second language that
Yeah.
we forget. We make mistakes in our first language.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
I'm not a fluent speaker of Arabic,
Hmm.
like a C2 level. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like
Maybe
for
I
like the
might.
Fusha, like the
Exactly.
MSA.
I might
Yeah.
know more academic words in English than I know in Arabic. Because
Yeah.
for
Hmm.
example, when I'm learning about things and for academic things, I'm learning in English from the
Yeah.
courses, from podcasts, from
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, from whatever sources, research papers. They're in English, so I know some
Yeah.
terms in English that I don't know in
Yeah.
Arabic. And God, if I try to speak in Fusha Arabic, oh my God. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's
I
like,
sometimes I'll hold books that are like proper Arabic.
mm-hmm.
I can barely understand them.
Yeah.
So we make mistakes in our native language.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense then we should allow ourselves to make mistakes in the other languages that we're trying to learn.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a very good point. Yeah, it's totally fine to make mistakes in all languages, right? In our native language, native English speakers, we make mistakes. We say things like I see all the time, like for example, especially with spelling, like loose and lose.
Oh
I see
yeah.
all the time where people in professional contexts will write like something about like the chord is lose, and they'll write the wrong word, LOSE, instead of loose with two
Yes,
O's.
yes, yes.
And that's native English speakers, right? Even for us, we make mistakes sometimes. It's okay. That's part of how we grow,
Almost.
right?
Yes.
We need to be okay with making mistakes. If we never make mistakes, we'll never get any better. So that's one of the big things, is just releasing that fear. Was that something for you, Ali, that you had times where you were afraid of making mistakes and you had to change something in your mind that helped you be okay with making mistakes, or was that pretty natural for you being younger?
Oh, well, I, so one of the things that I'm interested in, and it's an important skill for me as an educator to have,
Mm-hmm.
was public speaking.
Yeah.
I got into public speaking. I got into coaching actually before teaching. Long before I started teaching, I would get courses on uh, um, topics like negotiation, like
Yeah.
peacemaking, which
Okay.
are very common in where I'm from,
Yeah.
because of all the UN,
Mm-hmm.
UNICEF, UNAMI, all the things
Yeah.
that happen there. So I would get a lot of courses, and then part of some requirements for those courses where I had to share what I learned in the course with other people,
Hmm.
which gave me a lot of soft skills, and one of
Yeah.
them was public speaking.
Hmm.
So uh, the amazing thing about learning and getting a new skill,
Mm-hmm.
when you get the idea of the process you go through whenever you want to learn something new, you can just apply it to all other things.
Yeah.
So, for example, public speaking, I would get really nervous before the event,
Yeah.
And then while I'm doing it, I feel like my legs are gonna fall down. I'm gonna lose everything. Everyone's looking at me. I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes. Everyone's whatever judging me.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, it was all in my head. Things
Yeah.
are okay. I'm not dead. I actually did a reasonably good
Yeah.
job. And then the next one becomes easier and easier and easier and so on. So the same thing with English. I was really hesitant to speak with other people, especially foreigners. So I started speaking with foreigners, not people from my place,
Okay.
not locals.
Yeah.
And it was a bit scary for me as a teenager from the Middle East, speaking to girls who are like, from the West,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And then, oh my God, I don't want to make mistakes. I don't want to look like a loser. So those people really helped me out.
Yeah.
And I wish I could meet them now and just thank them, because they were really nice. The friends I had back then, they were okay. I would make mistakes and then I would apologize over and over again. And they were like, dude, can you stop apologizing? I mean, you're trying to speak to us in our native language. We should be thankful to you. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's really, thank you so much. You're very kind.
Yeah,
You
that's
know? That's
really
the
good
reality
point.
of it.
Yeah.
So that really helped in giving me the confidence to just speak. Who cares?
Yeah.
Because when you put yourself out there, you will notice most of it is in your head.
You judge yourself more than anybody else, right?
Oh, definitely.
I think that's true in most areas, but especially with language, that we judge ourselves. We hear every mistake. Like I have some students who they in the course, they'll talk about how bad their grammar is, and I'm like, when you were telling me about how bad your grammar is, 95% of what you said was perfect grammar, right?
Yes.
And so people don't realize, we always think that we're worse than we are. We judge ourselves more than others do. And I think it's a big thing as well, that for native English speakers, unless they're kind of young, and some people are just immature and they like to make a joke out of everything. Those people are in a different category, but majority of people, they don't really care if you make mistakes. They want to understand you. That's their goal. If they can understand what you're saying,
support you, and they feel really glad that you're trying to communicate with them in their native language. I tell this to my students as well. Like I tell them, imagine if, for example, my students in Turkey. I'm in Turkey right now. I have students from all around because I do online stuff. So I tell them, imagine I'm not a native language speaker of Turkey. I'm not a Turkish native. And I try to speak some Turkish. You will not be like, dude, what? That's
what's wrong with you? Yeah.
Incorrect. No, they would actually smile and be like, oh yeah, no, this is this. And they feel like they'll get excited because I'm trying to learn their language, you know? Same goes with Arabic. I mean, I'm pretty sure you had the experience when you started speaking Arabic with Arabs back in Saudi. People would just get excited because, oh, you're American, you speak Arabic. It's not very common. Isn't that the case? I don't know.
That's very true. Yeah, when I could say like 2 words, I'd be like "Sabah al-khair," and they'd be like, "You تعرف عربي أكثر مني," and everything like that.
Because it's
people
fun.
very encouraging.
It's nice. We connect through language. Is one of the things we connect with other people with, and we love connecting with other people. It's part of our nature. Subhanallah. It's amazing. So yeah.
So yeah, again, people, their main goal is to understand you. They're not there to judge you. If you ever meet somebody, like there might be like 1 out of 1,000 who wants to judge, their opinion doesn't really matter. Just don't hang out with them. They've got some things that they need to work on. But most people, they just want to understand you. And it's a normal thing for native English speakers. Like in the US, we have people from all around the world, from every single country are living here in the US. So it's very normal for us to meet people who don't speak English as their native language all the time. Every day we go anywhere and people don't speak English as their native language and they make mistakes. So it's just very normal for us. It's not like you're the first person I've ever met who's making mistakes. It's normal. We're not focused on that. We're focused on, how do I understand you? What are you trying to say? And so that's the main thing. And for all of you too, when you're trying to speak, if you're really, really, really focused on grammar and really afraid of making mistakes, your English is going to go down. You're going to speak much worse, because you're going to be like, and I went to the the beach, right? And that's a perfect sentence, like no mistakes. But because I was really focused on grammar, it didn't sound very good. Versus if I say, I yesterday am go to the beach, right? That was much faster, much easier to understand. I made mistakes in that, but it's much easier to understand. So don't worry about mistakes. Focus on communicating. That's the primary thing. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I have my nephew here. He
okay.
you want to say hi? Okay. Can you wear this?
Yeah.
Come.
And just for everyone wondering, nephew. Hey, nice to meet you. What's your name?
Can you hear?
My name is Ali.
Ali. Okay. Double Ali. Nice to meet you, Ali.
Oh,
Can you shake my hand? There we go. Awesome. Nice to meet you, Ali. How are you today?
I'm good.
Okay. Good. Praise God. Your English sounds very good. Do you speak with your uncle in English? Yeah.
Now he's a native speaker. He was born in London.
Okay, that makes sense then. You're like,
so
of course I'm good.
Yeah, I'm jealous of him.
Yeah. That's impressive. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, we speak in English. We speak in Arabic. He's learning. He's good in Turkish.
Wow.
This guy is learning Spanish as well. Oh my God! I mean, these
that's
days,
amazing.
like with international schools and stuff.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Ali. Ali, what's your biggest tip for people learning English? What do you think is helpful for people learning English?
Oh, that's amazing. That's a really good question. What's my biggest tip for people who want to learn English?
And also for your nephew Ali as well.
Yes,
see if he has anything as well. If you can't think of anything, that's okay.
Do you have something? If I come to you and I tell you, if someone comes and asks you, I want to improve my English, what would you tell them? What's the advice you tell them?
Or what movies do you like watching? What cartoons do you like?
Ooh.
Say that one more time. Harry Potter. Okay,
God.
there we go. Same thing as your uncle.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
sweet.
See?
There you go. Like uncle, like nephew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have the saying in Iraqi Arabic, ثلثين الولد على الخال. I think you understand it.
Yeah. That it's like you're
two-thirds.
Two-thirds,
Two-thirds of the nephew is
the uncle.
from the uncle. The maternal uncle. Do we say maternal uncle? I think we
maternal uncle. Yeah, great.
Yes.
For everyone wondering, maternal uncle would be maternal means on your mom's side. Paternal with a P would be on your dad's side. So paternal uncle, maternal uncle. In English, we call them both uncle instead of khal wa am.
Yes,
the same thing in English. We make
I just wanted to specify maternal because because I'm his uncle from his mother's side. So,
yeah. That's awesome.
Anyway, yes. So that's it. I would say, and this is something that is not very common. People don't realize. The psychological challenge is actually more important than the actual learning. And if you focus on the psychological challenges and you go through them, you will have much more fun learning, and it will be faster for you and more natural. What do I mean by psychological? Because I don't want to mention flashy words. Basically, the fear of making mistakes. This one tiny thing, if you focus on not worrying about so much, you will learn. You will learn, because once you're not afraid of making mistakes, you'll have fun watching a movie, watching a TV show, and then you will be fine with spending time practicing or talking about whatever it is you were doing, because we're social creatures. Whenever we watch a movie, read a book, do something, we want to speak about it. We want to tell someone about our opinions, about our thoughts, but we're just really worried about making that mistake, So if we take a leap of faith in ourselves and give ourselves the space to actually practice this language, I think it will take maybe a few months, few years, depending on where you are and where you want to be. But
how much time?
It can be fun, and it's really, really good, especially the English language. It will be a great opportunity for you to get more money, because wherever you are, English is the international language. So whatever your job is, if you added the English language to your CV, you'll have more opportunities with international companies and things. Traveling. Most of the countries have at least some English language in the airports, in
Yeah.
major touristic places. And it's the international language,
Yeah.
language of science.
Yep.
So it will open up so many doors for you. It will change your lives in a very interesting way.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Yeah, it's a cool thing that any airport I go to in the world, I can speak to them in English. I can read signs in English. It's so helpful
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why, as native English speakers, as Americans, a lot of times a lot of Americans don't learn a second language. We try a little bit in school, but we don't do well because we don't need it, right?
Yes,
Anywhere
yes.
we go, we
Because
don't
your
need it.
language is spoken everywhere.
Exactly. Like even when I went over to Saudi Arabia, I was in Saudi for 3 years teaching English, and I really wanted to learn Arabic. But anytime I tried speaking with people in Arabic, they responded in English. It was like everybody wanted to speak with me in English, so it makes it
Because we want to
makes it a
practice
little
our
harder.
English, man.
Exactly. Yep. So it can make it actually kind of difficult for us to learn. But that's the
Yeah.
blessing of when you do have English. Anywhere you go in the world, you can speak with them. And again, Jasmine and I, we went recently on a trip to Spain. We stopped in Paris. They don't speak English as their native language there, but they were speaking with us in English. My wife, Jasmine, she's got a pretty good level of Spanish, so she was able to help out at times. But
Okay.
they were still able to understand us in English. We were able to speak back and forth. Not everybody, but a lot of people, and it's amazing how many doors that opens up. So
And
yeah,
it adds a new challenge to you guys, which means you should be really proud of having learned the Arabic language, because
yeah,
it's really impressive. It's not very common for people to learn, again, because of what you said. You don't need it. I mean,
yeah.
most people who want to learn English do it out of necessity,
Mhm.
because for
Yeah.
work, money, traveling. But for you guys, I was watching our podcast today. I just
Okay, you
looked
watched
it
it again.
up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I watched like parts of
Yeah.
it, and I realized, oh my God, I was speaking with them in Arabic,
Huh.
and they were understanding me.
Yeah. I
It's
couldn't even
so
remember.
good. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so
That's
good
cool.
that
Praise God.
you should be proud of yourselves
Thank you.
for for learning that language. I know it's not easy.
No, thank you for your encouragement. Praise God. Yeah, it's definitely not easy, and we're still learning, but it's worth it because language opens up opportunities for relationship, right? If I get to know another language, I learn another language like Arabic, there are so many people I can speak with who I couldn't speak with before, right? And so just to be able
Exactly.
to, like, out of the overflow of love, right? We love people, so we want to talk with them. And so I think that's one of the beautiful things with language. It just opens up doors to meet new people, talk with new people, and connect on a deeper level as well. So yeah.
Beautifully said.
And while you
Beautifully
were
said.
talking as well, I wanted to bring up a word, perfectionism or
Oh,
perfectionist.
oh
That,
yes.
yeah, I think is kind of, it touches on a lot of what you were saying. There's a word in English, being a perfectionist, from the word perfection, perfect, means that you want everything to be perfect. It's like if you make a mistake, you're like, oh, this is terrible. I need it to be perfect. If I'm listening to a video, I need to understand 100%. And it can be in other areas as well, right? At work, you want to do everything really well. And perfectionism can be helpful in certain areas if we can turn it off, right? We
Oh
can turn it off and
yes.
turn it on. And so one of the big things for English learning is that if you are a perfectionist, it's going to take your English level down a lot. You need to be okay with making mistakes. You're not going to be perfect. That's okay. It's a process, right? When you're 2 years old, you don't start speaking Arabic perfectly. It's a process. You make lots of mistakes to eventually be
Definitely.
able to speak it as your native language. Same with English. And so we have to be okay as well when we're listening to things. When we're listening, you won't understand 100%, and that's okay. I've met some students who they get so focused on understanding everything, they miss the main idea. Focus on understanding the main idea. After you do that, you can watch it a second time and focus on the details. But don't be afraid of not understanding every detail. Perfectionism is like it will kill your English learning. So you need to just, like you said, the psychological part, retraining your brain, just saying to yourself, mistakes are okay, mistakes are okay, mistakes are okay. Say it
Yes.
again and again and again.
Exactly.
Otherwise, your
It's
brain
like
naturally goes
praying.
that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can turn it into a prayer too of God, help me to
Yeah.
be okay with making mistakes.
Yeah. Like, continual affirmations. It's fine, man. It's
Yeah.
okay. Make a mistake. What's the problem? It's okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfectionism. It's a lovely word. It's a word that I struggle with.
Yeah.
Not
Uh-huh.
the actual word, but the
But
challenge
the
of
idea, yeah,
perfectionism.
me too. Yep.
Yes. So it will really be it's very important to practice
Hmm.
not caring about that little voice inside your head that keeps pushing you to
Yep.
not put speak practice, do whatever it is you want to do, make content, publish things. Yeah, so it's important. It kills your creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is very, very true. So yeah, it definitely kills your creativity. And I want you guys in the chat, try to send us one more question that you have for Ali. What's a question that you have for Ali? Amazing English speaker here. What question do you guys have for him? And while we're waiting for that, I wanted to point out a few things that we talked about. One is negotiating. You said the word negotiating before. You were listening to, or you were practicing negotiating, right? And negotiating is kind of that idea of like talking back and forth to try to get to a conclusion. So it's like, it could be for a lot of different things, but like, should we hire this person? Should we not, right? We're going back and forth. We're talking about what should be our point of action. What should we do here? So we negotiate, go back and forth on that. And as well, when you were talking, and as well, when you were talking about the idea of how you were on that, that website where you had some avatars and you were able to talk with people, video games can also be a really good way to learn, right? Video games now, I've met people who, again, mainly through video games, they've gotten to a really good level because you can just put on your headset like this and you can speak with people from anywhere in the world, even if they're not even native English speakers. If they're from Germany, right? You can speak with them in English anywhere at all. Really great way to practice. If you don't go on the Arabic server, go on ones where people speak in English, and that'll help out a lot. So
yes, definitely. I've had also many students who did learn from games, especially the young generations. Oh my God, their English is so good. Sometimes you can't tell them. You can't tell them apart.
Yep, like little Ali over here, right? Or big Ali over here, right? Yeah, doing an amazing job with this English. Yeah. Cool. Well, a few questions, or let me see one of these questions here. So let's see, I can hear. So, cool. So one question we had. So what were you going to say? Nephew Ali?
I was going to say,
yes.
Someone was going to say, how long did it take me?
Yeah. Daria, great. Okay. Yep, I see from Iman's journey. How long did it take you to learn English, Ali? Or how would you answer that question?
How long did it take you?
It took me like 2 years to learn.
2 years.
2 years.
That's awesome.
By the way, did you study in London? You didn't go to school in London, right?
Yeah, I did go to school.
Yeah. So even though he was born there, they moved to Istanbul.
Okay.
So he didn't learn the traditional way. And in home we speak mostly Arabic.
Okay.
But he picked it up from the times we speak in English sometimes with each other from YouTube, I think, gaming maybe, something like that. Yeah. So
that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. What about for you, Uncle Ali? How long has it taken you? What would you say? How would you answer that question of how long did it take you to learn English?
Okay, so I think I would say 3 to 5 years because it was on and off.
Yeah.
I cannot calculate it properly because I didn't go through like some formal training where I had specific hours.
Yeah.
I would just watch movies and then after a year, 2 years, I noticed I have so many vocabs.
Yeah.
And then a couple of months of practicing, I was able to use those vocabs in my head. And then after 2 to 3 years, if you do like half an hour a day, 2 to 3 years, you'll reach a level where you can have conversations comfortably. If you do half an hour every day, half an hour. And after that, you just need to polish it up, pick up an accent maybe, learn more about specific academic things that are related to your job, to your study, to whatever it is you're interested in, because having the general English, conversation English, is different to the technical English in different specialties. Like, for example, if I'm a doctor, I would have vocabs about medicine, medical terms that an engineer wouldn't know. Whereas an engineer would know some vocabs that I don't know, even though my English could be better than his. But his technical vocabulary in English is better than mine in his field.
Yeah.
So yes.
No, that's a very good point there about we say like even jargon, right? Language that's specific for that that area is jargon that not everybody speaks, not everybody uses that. It's same for native English speakers. When we go to the doctor, like when my dad was in the hospital recently, and a lot of doctors were coming in and talking. He's doing much better now, so praise God. Still praying that he continues to improve. But yeah, a lot of doctors coming in, they used a lot of words where we're native English speakers, we're Americans, and all there were like 6 of us in there, all English speakers, all Americans, and we're like, could you explain that again? We didn't quite understand that, because they use medical terms that most people don't learn, right? But doctors are going to learn those words. So whatever your specific field is, you're going to learn more of that. If you're a professional soccer player, you're going to know a lot of words about soccer that the general population doesn't know. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, one final question for you. Somebody asked a question of, they said that when somebody speaks to them, it takes them like 5 seconds to understand it before they do understand. What would be your advice to somebody in that situation where it takes them 5 seconds to understand what they just heard in a conversation?
That's a really good question. So that's why I mentioned the point of the psychological challenges are the most important ones.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling of frustration when you don't know what the other person is talking about, the feeling of fear because you don't want to make mistakes, you don't want to look stupid. Guys, this is the challenging part. If you pass these challenges, if you just go through them, allow them to pass, that's it. You're done. You got the language. You just need to polish it up.
Mm-hmm.
So these challenges are the biggest challenges when you want to learn a new language. The fear of making mistakes, the fear of wasting the other person's time because you don't want them to be confused with your low level of English.
Mm-hmm.
And these are in our heads. Generally speaking, if you're speaking to a human who is a decent person, and they know that your level of English is not like your level of English, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, 5 extra seconds wouldn't matter. It's fine. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Take your time. The opposite, actually. When I see someone who's trying to speak a language they don't know that I know, I give them the space. I tell them, yeah, it's fine, it's okay. And they're the ones, usually the other person is the person who feels like, oh my God, I'm wasting their time, and they apologize and everything. Generally, people are really nice, generally speaking. You know? So give yourself the space. You can start the conversation by saying, if you feel like your level is really bad and you take a long time to understand the person, start by saying, my English isn't very good, so I would love to speak and I'm excited to speak with you, but my English is not very good, so maybe you can give me some time, maybe I'll ask you some questions if that's okay. And come on, if someone says this to you, that's it. That's all you need. You can just give yourself the time and space to answer, and you don't have to worry about understanding everything. You just need to get the main idea, and then that's how conversations happen. If you didn't pick it up, you can ask, is that what you meant? Is that what you meant? And it's okay. It happens in our conversations in our native language. Again, back to the point I mentioned earlier. Like if you and I were talking about like a serious topic or something, maybe I would say, okay, so is that what you meant? Is this what you meant? And this is used a lot. So yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that we talk about in our live classes in the program, is the idea of being able to, like, one, it's just okay to ask somebody to repeat it again. Say, sorry, could you say that again? Totally fine. As native English speakers, we do it all the time, right? I show like a bunch of videos of native English speakers doing it to show that it's normal, it's okay. And people don't get upset when you do it. They want you to understand them, right? If I'm saying something, I want you to understand me. And so if you need, even if you might understand after 5 seconds, to give your brain time to think, just say, sorry, could you say that again? And that gives your brain a little bit of extra time to be able to process, right? I do the same thing sometimes where I'm like, okay, I need to hear that one more time so I have some time for my brain to process that, depending on the topic. And what you mentioned as well, so just 1 second with that, the idea of what you mentioned, I think is really good. So what I hear you saying is this, is really helpful. So summarizing it back to them, whatever you do understand, you're like, oh, okay, so and while you're doing that, you're thinking, right? You're trying to understand what they're saying. So what I hear you saying is that, and then you say whatever you understand. And then that gives you more time to think. So sorry, Ali, what were you going to say?
No. This and this point is actually a plus. One of the things that I do coaching a lot, and one of the things I coach is communication skills, and this is actually a plus in communication because and you mentioned this point, when you repeat back the point or you ask before you give an answer to the person, you're showing to the other person first, you're giving value to what they're saying. You're not just waiting for them to finish so you can jump and make your point. No, you're actually taking the time to understand what they're trying to say because you give what they're trying to say value. So you want to understand it properly and then you can reply back with a proper response. So it's actually a plus. It shows interest in the other person. It shows
just genuine interest.
Genuine interest in whatever it is they're saying, whatever it is they're talking about, and their ideas and their principles. So it's actually a plus, not a minus.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that's one of the things I mentioned is it's like scholars and relationship experts are saying like we need to do this more. Ali, I see you eating the hearts on the side. That's great. I like it. Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. But yeah, one of the things my wife Jasmine is a counselor now, and so that's one of the things she talks about is a lot of times she'll see people for marriage counseling or couples counseling, things like that. And a big thing is they're both native English speakers, but they're not really hearing each other, right? They understand the idea, but they're not really listening.
Yes.
And so a big thing is just getting them to say it back of like, okay, so what did you hear him say? What is he saying? And to say it back shows like you're actually listening to me if you get it right, or you get to clarify if you didn't. Because even if we understand the language perfectly, we have our brain, our own ideas that we filter everything through. So we're kind of expecting them to say certain things, even if that's not what they're actually meaning. So for everyone, it's a really good thing to just say it back of, okay, so do you mean, or so what I hear you saying is,
Yes.
Great way. It shows the person that you care about them, you want to understand them, you care about their opinions. So yeah.
Exactly. That's good. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm
cool,
really
Ali,
happy. I'm really happy and glad that I love psychology a lot. So I'm really happy to hear that Jasmine is a counselor now. That's really good.
She's a fantastic counselor. That's what I was telling her before she even started her master's degree. I'm like, you're already like a professional counselor. You're already so good at that. So she's really good.
I can see that. Yeah. That's good. That's great. I mean, education and psychology, these things, these are the things that we need the most in this day and age, because they help us understand how to deal with ourselves, and then how to communicate with other people, and how to build generations. And I feel like these are the things we're missing out the most, and we're not realizing how to deal with in this day and age. So I'm really glad to see you guys doing these things, and that's cool, man. That's good. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, just on that note, I would just put out encouragement for everyone. We have a word in English, we say stigma.
Oh, yeah.
We can say there's a stigma around counseling. Stigma is when people have this idea of like, oh, this is like, I don't want to touch it. Like, this isn't good. Where unfortunately, a lot of people think like, oh, I don't need to go to counseling because that's only for like, if you're crazy, or if your marriage is really, really, really bad. And I would just put out for everyone, counseling is for everyone. We all need counseling because none of us are perfect, right?
Literally
we all need to grow. I encourage everybody to go to marriage counseling. Whenever I hear somebody's getting married, I'm like, you guys should go to marriage counseling like at least once a month, because it is just so helpful. Is that we aren't perfect. We don't all talk perfectly with each other. None of us do. And so it's a great way to be able to grow as a person, grow as a couple. So let's get rid of the stigma that's a bad thing, and let's make it something that's it's okay for all of us too. So you don't need to be crazy. Jasmine, she always says that people normally come, especially like marriage counseling, they come in when the house is on fire.
Yes.
She's like, instead, why don't you come in when, like, before the house is on fire, so we can prevent there from being a fire, right?
That's actually the situation with many things, like even in medicine. There's like preventive care that if you look after your health, food, workout, these things, it will help you out on the long run, because you will have less diseases and medical problems to worry about. So same with counseling. You don't want to wait until you're really stressed out. You're really you lose control of your life.
You just
explode. You want to do it when you're just sensible. You're relaxed in a way, but you have some challenges you want to deal with, and we all do. We all have those, and thank God for learning and improving and all the things we have right now, all the tools we have.
Yeah, yep. And I see somebody said, especially counseling for people from a war-torn country. Yeah, that's very true, right? Especially, and for everyone, we need it, especially for, unfortunately, a lot of countries have experienced war. And we say in English, PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder, where it's because of like crazy things that you've experienced, it's in your body. Right. It's not just a mental thing. It's also in your body. It stores it. And to be able to really process that can help you to heal. So
you can
everybody go
that into a PTG, which is a post-traumatic growth.
There we go. Also, I like that.
Yeah, it's a term in psychology as well. Yeah. And then imagine if you turn this into growth and success stories, and the world has so many of those. Yeah. So many of those.
Yep. You know? But if you just push it down, then it doesn't get any better, right? It just gets worse. So yeah. Cool. Well, it's awesome getting to It's awesome getting to talk with you, Ali, and great to meet you, nephew Ali, as well. Also to meet you, and great seeing you again today, Ali. And thank you so much for sharing your journey with us.
You can improve your English, and one of the best ways to do that is with Fluency Master. You'll get live classes on Zoom with me and other Americans, all of our courses for all levels from beginner to advanced, unlimited speaking practice and grammar correction with our AI speaking partner, and so much more. I've been teaching English to Arabic speakers for over 10 years, and I've put all of the best methods, strategies, and tools in one program so you can actually reach your goals. That's why students who finish part 1 improve their English on average by over 40%. So sign up today to improve your future by improving your English.